So is Zebec now closer to releasing the footage? Well, it seems like that way to me, and I'll explain what I mean by that in today's video, even though I first want to clarify, this is just purely my perspective. This is not financial advice, and I am not telling anyone to do anything. However, did you know that, remember when Zebec made a post saying how they're going to be releasing the footage of Simon, who's the CEO of Zebec, and they're going to be posting his full keynote in which he did speak at XRP Las Vegas. Well, when it comes to that, there's been somewhat of an update because they recently posted a 30-second footage showcasing some highlights when it comes to that event. So what does that mean? I think it indicates two things. Well, first of all, I think it's kind of leading up to Zebec releasing the full keynote of Simon speaking at that event, in which case, again, he did reveal a Ripple partnership when he was speaking there, in which he spoke right after Brad Garlinghouse, by the way, who's the CEO of Ripple. So I think that's the first one. But I think second of all, this does very well, I think, mark maybe a time in which Zebec is now closer than ever before to actually making an official announcement in regard to the Ripple partnership. Now, some people may be saying, wait, hold up. Didn't Simon already reveal that Zebec is going to have a partnership with Ripple at XRP Las Vegas? That's true. And he's also mentioned it in several podcasts. So we do know that. But why is an actual official announcement when it comes to Zebec? Why could that be a crowning achievement? Because if Zebec actually literally makes an official announcement when it comes to the Ripple partnership, it does indicate, in my opinion, that everything is fully finalized. All the details have been worked out, all the contractual details and everything. Because remember when Simon was asked why Zebec hasn't officially made a announcement yet when it comes to the Ripple partnership, why has he been the only one speaking about that? He said something along the lines of they're taking their time and kind of working all the things behind the scenes, so to speak. Kind of gave me that vibe. So again, if let's say Zebec actually makes the official Ripple partnership announcement, it would indicate that everything's been finalized, which I think would be a major victory. So again, Zebec posting that quick 30-second footage of Simon and the Zebec team basically at XRP Las Vegas, it does indicate that not only are they one step closer to releasing the full keynote of Simon at that event, but also I think another step closer towards officially Zebec themselves announcing a Ripple partnership, which would very well indicate that everything has been finalized if they do that. But again, releasing that quick 30-second footage right there, I think it's a big clue. I think it's leading up maybe to, again, that official hypothetical Ripple partnership announcement. And also, I think it's just one step closer to actually revealing the footage of Simon speaking at that event. So I think this footage right here that they released recently, even though it's only 30 seconds, it may seem kind of trivial, but I think it has a lot of hidden meanings, especially if we follow the story of Zebec and kind of what it's been doing for the past year. I think it does tell a lot, actually. So I think this is pretty impressive. Again, some people didn't really think about this, but I did think about it because, you know, I've been watching all the podcasts that Simon did appear on. I've been listening to all the Spaces events that Simon has been speaking on. And also I've been, you know, kind of following the news when it comes to Zebec for quite a while. So again, for those who are familiar with the backstory when it comes to Zebec, that footage, I think right there that they recently released, like a trailer or something like that, a sneak peek, it was like 30 seconds. I can't show the clip though because it's not mine, but I'm saying I think that right there actually has a lot of hidden meanings. That's the way I take a look at it. But it's purely hypothetical, but this is just my perception currently when it comes to Zebec. Not to mention, if we consider Zebec, where it's heading moving forward, I really do believe that it's now more primed and more ready to actually receive better adoption and better notoriety moving forward. Because last year, Zebec didn't really have everything in place and it kind of just caught that market wave like that and it kind of went along with the ride. That was cool, but it peaked at around 540 million in terms of market cap last year. A lot of people thought that was kind of a little bit somewhat low for what Zebec is actually trying to achieve. And I could view that in the same way, I suppose. And I kind of do agree with that, especially when it comes to Zebec's fundamentals as of right now. Like, for instance, Zebec now has the trifecta. It has a Stellar partnership, a Ripple partnership, and the Algorand partnership. And it also has the trifecta in terms of the compliance side of things. ISO 20022, MIC, and SOC2. So when it comes to the partnerships, it already has that trifecta. And when it comes to the compliance side of things, it also has that as well. So I think when I take a look at those two right there, it just makes Zebec, I think, in a way better position fundamentally to kind of actually receive better adoption moving forward. So when people like to say, wow, Zebec became worse, I disagree with that. Fundamentally, I don't think that is the case. In terms of the price charts, yes, it's gone down from last year, but in terms of the fundamentals, it's improved by quite a lot. And if that wave were to come, if let's say that narrative when it comes to projects that are focused on global trade and finance that are beyond Ripple and Stellar, the alternatives beyond that, if those type of archetypes really gains a lot of traction, who knows, during a market reversal or during, let's say, a hypothetical altcoin season, Zebec is right there. It's waiting. It doesn't have to chase, it's waiting right there. It's like, for instance, if I'm surfing in the ocean, which I don't surf, this is just a pure hypothetical just for an analogy, but if I'm surfing, I'd rather want to wait for the wave as opposed to chase it. I can't, paddle 60 feet away and chase a wave. I'm not Aquaman. I'm not Jason Momoa. I can't do that, right? So yeah, when it comes to just a lot of things in life, I think anticipating is better than chasing, even though this is not advice by any means. This is just my personal perspective, but I'm just saying. Take a look at Jeff Bezos. When he founded Amazon, it was at a good time. Imagine him starting Amazon right now. That'd be very difficult. At that point in time when he started Amazon, when that wave really kicked in for e-commerce and stuff like that, he was right there to catch the wave because he was waiting the entire time. So this is why when I take a look at Zebec, it kind of gives me that vibe a little bit. Of course, it's different, but I'm saying it kind of gives me that vibe where Zebec is preparing for maybe a hypothetical bigger wave moving forward. But we'll wait and see. And the reason why I think the next wave could maybe be bigger than before is because before we didn't really see a true moment in which projects beyond Ripple and Stellar yet focus on the global trade and finance space. We haven't really seen those alternatives really kind of have mass scale attention. We haven't seen that. But historically, we do know that global trade and finance is a really massive narrative when it comes to this market. It's just the alternatives beyond Ripple and Stellar hasn't really had their time to shine. So during altcoin seasons, typically we do know that narratives tend to form, usually just out of nowhere, it seems like. So if, let's say, moving forward, if the narrative were to form that, again, projects beyond Ripple and Stellar that have the same vibe, but again, alternatives with a smaller market cap than XLM, for instance, if those type of projects really starts having this massive narrative, again, Zebec is just waiting. It doesn't have to chase. That's the way I take a look at it. So if 540 million in terms of market cap last year was considered just like a flash in the pan, if it was considered just kind of maybe a taste, it wouldn't surprise me, because when I consider the fundamental improvements when it comes to Zebec, and also when I consider how last year I didn't even see an altcoin season, I think it could have very well just been the appetizer, just a little bit of a taste. So we'll have to wait and see moving forward, but I think Zebec just improved a lot more. And the recovery in the past 24 hours has been almost 4%. By the way, I just want to mention this. It was something that I found pretty bizarre. But do you know Near, like, the Near protocol basically? Near, in the past 24 hours, the recovery has been around 30%. And Near is a partner when it comes to Zebec. The partnership was announced so long ago, so a lot of people didn't really know about that. But I even made a video on that, by the way. But yeah, besides that point, that's pretty impressive. Did you know that Near actually makes up the largest percentage in terms of Grayscale's decentralized AI fund? So imagine that years ago, when no one really cared about Near, basically, in such a massive way in regard to AI and stuff like that, Zebec was already partnering with Near. That is kind of the forward-thinking mindset I think that Zebec has, right, in a sense. Kind of impressive. Years ago, when everyone thought Near was cooked, Zebec was like, hey, you know what? We're going to have a partnership with them. All of the things that Zebec has done in the past, it kind of showcases sometimes later on just how their thinking was so ahead of their time, especially considering how even years ago, Zebec was even thinking about a partnership in regard to Near. I think that showcases their mindset. And I think the team as well. It's a good reflection upon just kind of where they saw, I think, the market hypothetically heading. But it's all, again, only time will tell as of right now. But seeing Zebec at, again, around a 300 million market cap hasn't done much, but still an almost 4% recovery. I'm not going to complain about that in the past 24 hours. But I'll be sure to make more updates. I'll be sure to continue on talking about Zebec. So hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of showcase, I think, the importance of the recent footage that they released and maybe what implications it could have moving forward. Again, just to kind of summarize, I think it could very well indicate how maybe we're one step closer towards seeing the actual footage of Simon, the CEO of Zebec, and his full keynote at XRP Las Vegas. And I think also on top of that, this may very well showcase that they could have been, who knows, one step closer to actually fully officially announcing that Ripple partnership. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. That's been a conclusion. I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.